Welcome to this tarot reading for October the 13th, the week of the 13th. Understand that the reading I do is based on the Kabbalistic tarot, and consequently it is related to the oral tradition started by Abraham, put into pictures. And the major arcana is the internal activity of the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet. There's 22 major cards. And so each letter in the Hebrew alphabet has either a universal principle or law or cosmic force that it expresses, and those cosmic forces are working through us constantly. And when you get one of those cards, it usually means that. I'll explain a little of that when I'm doing the reading. You want to cut them?
And do you cut them to put energy in, or what's the purpose for cutting the cards?
The reason for cutting the cards is to make sure you shuffled them enough. And for the person getting the reading, they have the opportunity to touch and put their vibration into the cards. And so, yeah. Okay, well, we're starting with the 10 of Cups, and I'll show you this card. This is a happy card. This is a card that has to do with what I call the Great American Dream. It's a married couple with 2 children with a rainbow and 10 cups. They have land like a farm and a river flowing through it, and this is like a dream come true. But what it means is that everything is actually pretty good in your life. That things are happening in the way you need for them to, even though it doesn't always look like it. There may be some issues that you're dealing with, and at the same time, you're going to find out that those issues are very important and will be good for you in the long run. So this is a good card. It's a good start. It means that everything right now, this week, is okay. What's crossing you, however, is the 7 of Cups. We're hitting the cups here, which have to do with emotions, the heart, and love vibration. What's crossing you, though, however, this is a card of, like, this is a magician creating things. And those things are what we think about, what we're manifesting in the world, and how to manifest them. And that sometimes we manifest truth, things that really need to happen, and sometimes we're just sort of lackadaisical about it, so to speak, and we're just creating whatever comes in our mind. You have to be careful what you're thinking at that point, because this is a card of illusions. And so even though everything is working very well with the 10 of Cups, at the same time, you have to be careful about what you're contemplating, and you want to be sure that you're manifesting what you want and what you need rather than just manifesting. Every thought, and this is a Kabbalistic principle, every thought is a form creating the moment you think it. If it's a negative one, and by the way, negative thoughts are not as strong as positive thoughts. But when you have a negative thought, if you're upset with someone, you say, oh, well, I like to beat that person up or whatever. That's not as strong, but it's still manifesting. And so you want to be clear about what you're thinking and what you're visualizing in your mind and what you're holding as your truth. Because sometimes we get excited with different emotions, and they control what we're thinking in a way. We start thinking things relative to what's going on in our mind. Now, here's the important thing about thinking and about thoughts. Everything you do, everything is a thought that you're acting out. Just like doing this tarot reading. This is the thought in Willow's mind and my mind, and now it's happening. When I get up in the morning, same way when I go to bed at night, when I eat food, I think about what I want and I eat it. Everything we do is a thought. It's important to think about this. Okay, so this is what's going on now. This is what is beneath you, or subconscious in a way. This is the Two of Pentacles, and the Two of Pentacles has to do with Capricorn. Capricorn is the sign that has to do with us scheduling our daily work and how we do it and that sort of thing. And what this is saying is that there's some imbalance going on with what you're planning and what you really need or want. And so you want to be careful. The same thing I was talking about with the first card. You want to be careful what you hold your mind on and understand what, and try to get to the point that you're focusing on what you really need. But this also has to do with, if you can look at the water, wavy activity, or what that means is up and down, bipolar sort of activity where you're feeling great one day and the next day you're not feeling so good and you're up and down a little bit. And it has to do with actually what we're developing in our mind that we want and how we're manifesting it. And remember, the thinking part of it is a big one. Thoughts. You could say that God is the big mind and we're the little mind. But the moment you expand your mind outward into all directions, even the future or the past, you are connecting with the divine. You're not limiting your focus to just this physical body in this world. Okay. This is behind you, which is related to the past. It is the Nine of Wands. Now, these cards are read by symbols, by activity that's going on in the card, and the numbers. Ace or 1 is beginning, 5 is mediary in the middle, 9 is completion. What this is saying is that you have actually completed some things and been successful at it, and yet this person looks a little tired, like he or she has been working. And so what this means is that it's that change is sort of in the air, that you've completed some things and now you're looking toward newer ideas, new ventures, new work-related or habit-related activities. And so it's a restructuring. Now we're in October, 2 more months left in this year, which means that we're at the end of a cycle, a yearly cycle, which usually denotes this card, which means that we're kind of completing this year and we're going to be getting ready for next year. And so that's what this card is implying, that you want to start thinking about what you would like for 2023 to be like, or what you would like to develop in your life in a few months, okay? And go back, you want to be careful about thinking too much or getting too wild with your thoughts. There could be some illusory stuff. You want to pay attention to this very closely. If for example, you don't have much money and you say, I need to make $10 million next year, that might be an illusion. It may not be, but it could be. And so you want to think about it. You may want to limit to just 1 million.
Good advice.
Yeah. Okay. This is coming into being shortly. This is behind you. This is beneath you. This is happening now. This is coming into being shortly. When I say shortly, probably the next month or so. Okay, so this is a card where the individual has been dreaming about ideas and things, and has actually manifested one sword here. But there's 3 other swords that are available for this person to work with, or 3 other ideas that will bring your picture of what you want into more of a complete subject, a complete process. Whereas a lot of times we dream about things and we ask for one thing and we think we're there. Not so here. You have other ideas you need to correlate with what you've already come up with and start putting it together. Like the organizational stuff, which I don't really like to do, but that's what the card says, that you want to be more, you want to be cautious about just thinking I'm already there, I've already made it, which is something I do a lot. But so I had to meditate on this card, so I'll start thinking of other ideas. But you want to bring the picture into a whole, a holistic process. And that's kind of hard for us Americans, because we're usually wanting to, if something is coming up for us to do, we want to do it and get it over with. And this is more about planning and magnetically drawing in those things that will bring a bigger picture together. And you think of a business, or you may want to buy land or get a home or something like this. You have to do a little better planning than just saying, well, let's go out and buy a home. You know, you may want to check out what type of home would I like to get? What type of boyfriend would I like to have? What type of girlfriend? So on and so forth. In my business, I would like to improve it this way, this way, this way, and this way, and turn it into a new frequency. So anyway, this is more about deliberation and meditating on what you think you want and getting clear about the true nature of what you might be manifesting. Okay. Okay, we have the Page of Swords here, and the page always relates to the heart center of the body, and the Page of Swords. The swords are one of the complex suits that has to do with complex issues, and so on and so forth. And so what this card is saying, and in this position, it's going to be coming into being probably after the first of the year, maybe the first couple of months in 2023. And this page is about balance, to work on holding balance in terms of what you're trying to manifest and what you're already doing, balance between relationships with your partner, balance between your life at home and your work, so to speak, so on and so forth. Balance related to even eating, what you consume in your body, and ideas too, what you consume in your head. So you want to work on, if you think one thing is right, you want to look at the other side of it and sort of see the opposite aspect of it and try to balance the two in some ways. In a love affair, you don't want to go totally head over heels, which a lot of us males do. Head over heels in love. You want to have some the aspect of, you know, being concerned about some of the issues related to the love, not just the feeling itself, but to keep balance in your love life, keep balance in your the food that you consume, your relationship with work and play, and getting sleep and being awake. You know, just balance in your world. And so this is coming after the first of the year, which means there's a possibility that you're coming up with new ideas here, and they may be president of the most important things in your life. And what you want to do though, and you're going to find out that you need to balance these new ideas with the old platform that you were working from, because we don't just start new things. We will be working in one area and then we'll graduate, but that area is still important for the application of the new model. And so you don't just throw things away, which I've done before, by the way. That's why I'm talking about this. When I get into something new, I like for it to be new, but it's not. It's not always new. There's whatever you have developed, even in your skills to do things, carry over. And so you want to keep that in balance. Okay, so this was, this card above here represents the near future. This represents a few months, maybe 4 months, 5 months into the future. Then I'm going to put 3 cards over here, and they represent the layout of some of the aspects of your future. King of Swords. Now I want to say that this first position in the future has to do with some things you might be afraid of, fear-related activities. And anytime you get a king, that means you're, of course, you're going to experience some strong male frequency here. This could be a husband, this could be a father, this could be a teacher, because the kings are, of course, not usually young men. It's older men that have been married or so on and so forth, or has grandchildren, and or is a teacher of some sort. But whoever's listening to this, there's some male energy coming into your life in the form of some father energy, in the form of a teacher. If there's some area that you're wanting to learn, like I do shamanistic work, and I work with certain apprentices, helping them to learn how to work with the shamanistic process and become shamanistic. And so that I'm sort of a teacher in that way, and that's what this king represents. And so you may want to learn to skate, or you may want to learn to ride a bicycle, or you may want to learn to drive a car. The teacher will appear that you need. And so this is in a fear place, which means that there may be a little concern about getting the right teacher. And I want to say that that's very important too, because you may find a teacher that's really, really good and professional and everyone loves him, but you don't like him. Okay? Don't go with that teacher. He might be the best, but he may not be the best for you. You go with a teacher that feels like a friend that you can work with. And not that all teachers and not that all good teachers are friends, but generally speaking, if the person, the student, the initiate, whatever, doesn't feel comfortable with that person, in the long run, it may not be as effective. If you have someone that you can work with, that you like, you can call up at night. I'm not advocating that my students call me up at night, but but that's okay. You know, I mean, it's still, I feel like we have this love affair, this connection with me and my students, or otherwise we wouldn't be working together. And I tell them too, if they don't like the way I teach or whatever, go find someone else that's, you know, that works for you. Nothing wrong with that. Might hurt my feelings, but whatever, you know. No, I doubt that. But that's the point, is be careful about who you're getting to teach. Not in terms of whether that person's capable or not, but how you interact with them. And this is an intuitive thing. If it doesn't feel right, don't do it. Okay. The next card has to do with, the first one had to do with the fear position. The next card has to do with the environment that you're going to be living in the future. And this is like, we'll say 2023 unfolding for you. What this is saying is that you, in fact, we talk about this teacher here, you, in fact, are probably a teacher yourself. And that the hermit is a light bearer, a being of a high spiritual status who has beautiful energy for other people, and he's standing up on a mountaintop, or she is, and holding out a light for the students, and our initiates in this case climbing the mountain. And so this is the way shore. This person could even not be in physical form. This could be someone that you're intuiting, that you're channeling, that's related to some field that you're in. Like, I have a PhD in psychology. I used to study Sigmund Freud and other, he's not the only one, but what I began to realize, I would read over his a paragraph that he had written before, and I began to sort of get this inner sort of connection with what these words were actually saying. And then it got clearer, and the more I read it, the clearer and clearer it got, and I began to see things that the words weren't saying. And so what I realized was I was in Sigmund Freud's head, and he was in my head. And that's the connectivity that you want in this case. So this may be a real person, that could be an advanced being, which is you, the ones listening to this. This is you, and that you're getting information from a higher place to share with others. So yeah, this is one of the higher cards, and it represents sort of the interconnection with, we'll call angelic beings, masters, adepts, ancestors, and that sort of thing, who assist us in doing what we want to do. And that's your world in the future, which means that you are developing into higher frequency energy patterns, that and you're becoming an open receiver. The system I study is the Kabbalah. It means receiver, and this is one of the training cards, one of the major cards in that process. And it's a very important card because it means that you're getting the inner workings, the inner information related to the field that you're working in. So yeah, this is a good card, but it can be complicated because you want to, anytime you receive information from on high, you want to check it. Because it may feel like it's from on high, but it may be from below. And I tell people all the time, pay attention to what you're receiving, because it could be your psychopathic neighbor rather than an angel or a master. So part of that is being discerning about what you're receiving, and the importance of being clear about how to use it and work with it. Okay, this is the card that is basically the catalyst, or the energy that's carrying you into the future. And this is the Knight of Pentacles. We got the Page of Swords. Those are the only two of the court cards that we have in the minor deck. But this is the Knight of Pentacles is actually related to this Hermit card, in the sense that what it's saying is that you're developing into and it's what's carrying you into the future, into a higher level receptive position, that you're actually beginning to channel things from your higher self. That relates to money in this case, because we have Pentacles, which is the earthly plane, and it's a coin, but it's and this card is in the process, is the process of you getting in touch with, we'll say, your authentic self, who you really are, and that being part of your manifestation here. And this is the card of actually developing an image, or seeing an image of who you really are. And then you have some principles that go along with that image that you begin to learn, and pretty soon you start living those principles, and you begin to shift from we'll say the human condition that we have been developed as a result of our culture, as a result of our parenting and being parented, our teachers and so on and so forth. And now you're going to be getting information on the truth of who you really are. And some of that may be your cultivated personality structure at this moment, but it could be different as well. And it's usually different because our culture and the influences therein don't always coincide with the true nature of humanity. It's more related to how do we make money, what type of, and I've been through it all. You know, when I was younger, I basically got a PhD, and I wanted to help people, but I also wanted to make money too. And so at some point you have to sort of grow up to this thing about what is really important here. Money is important on the physical plane, but when you get older and you start working with more spiritual energy patterns, that changes. And so, but what this is saying, and it's a catalyst for what you're becoming more of a channeled being who will align with some powerful ancestral and angelic influences, and you want to be as clear as you can about what that means. And so that's part of your learning over this next year. And so I want to say that back to these cards, it talks about you being clear, clear about what you want to manifest. And this is a card of being clear about what you are manifesting, and that you're receiving information and how that information fits the process of your manifestation. And okay, last card. Well, everyone in society should be listening to this reading because the outcome is money. Not only is it money, it is the ace, it's the beginning of a new frequency, and it can mean more than money. I mean, it can mean just resources in general, or it can mean also just a better life. And money usually brings that, but not necessarily, you know. And so what this is saying is not only is the good life coming to you next year, but you have support from the higher frequencies, from the angelic realms. This hand coming out of the cloud is saying that what you're trying to manifest and what you're trying to do has angelic influences with it, which means it's much, much stronger than just one person or even a group of people, a board of people or whatever. It's much more than that in terms of the possibility of being successful. And so just judging from these future cards here, 2023 is going to be a good year. Not that 2022 wasn't, but we had some kinks here and there and some setbacks and so on and so forth in a lot of areas. I know I did. And I didn't feel the sort of the freedom to be as happy as I could be. And this may be different in 2023. It could be a brighter light shining for us. It could mean more money. It could be that what we're manifesting here is actually related to our destiny, not just to our fate. Fate is something, I'm not saying fate is bad and destiny is good, but fate comes as a result of cultural conditioning. And we know sort of what's going to happen next, depending on how the culture is going or how the situation in life is going. Your destiny, on the other hand, was something that you contracted to do before you came in. And it is your reason for being here. And we can deal with fate, but up to a point, destiny takes over. And so to me, this could be one of the most positive cards that we could get for next year. And I say it means money. It could mean more love. It could mean more prosperity in many different ways. It can mean happiness beyond your imagination. So,
Woohoo!
Any questions? If you have, send them in to Willow.
Yeah. I do have a question, Chi.
Okay.
With the knight, how does the actual symbolic picture represent what you were sharing? With the knight riding the horse and...
Well, to be truthful with you, it's a little harder to pinpoint those things with knights and pages and kings and queens. It's a little different than the first 9 cards. But what it shows is a person who is content. Like some of the pages and the knights, they're on the horse and they're riding and they're trying to do stuff. This particular being, male or female, remember in the readings, almost every reading, no matter what the person looks like, can be identified as male or female. And so the knights, even though the knights are usually males, could be a female too. But what it's saying is that the knight is okay. There's not anything that he or she actually has to do over and beyond, just the standard thing, and that he has the coin in his hand, which means success. Okay, but success in what? And you sort of have to know the inner workings of these higher cards to understand what I'm about to say. But what this means is when things are okay in your life, and certain things have happened just the way you want them to, and the money's right, it means your higher self is in control. We think it's our personality, but it is not. And so he represents the higher self within each of us. And some of the things I'm saying you're not going to get out of books.
Yeah.
And so you have to kind of dig a little bit to understand the deeper aspect of the card.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.